Hello everybody, welcome back to concept building classes. Today we are going to discuss simple interest and compound interest, which is one of the most important topics for any competitive exam. So let's start the topic with first question. Dena Bank lent rupees 2 lakh to Mr. Kumar at 6% per annum of simple interest for 10 years period. Meanwhile, Dena Bank offered a discount in its rate of interest and reduced the interest to 4%. In this way, Mr. Kumar had to pay a total amount of 2.96 lakhs to the bank. After how many years did Mr. Kumar get discount in the rate of interest? Now, we can use two methods to solve this question. One is traditional method and the other one is we will use the options to identify which of them is correct. So let's start with the first method, that we will use the traditional method how to solve this question. So here total interest which is paid by Mr. Kumar is 2.96 lakhs minus 2 lakh is 96,000 rupees. So he has paid an interest of 96,000 rupees over a period of 10 years. And this is a simple interest, right? No compounding is happening here. Now let us assume that he got discount after X number of years. So he was paying 6% interest rate for X number of years, and after that he paid 4% interest. So we can directly make this equation that he paid a total interest of 96,000, which would be equal to principal amount, which is 2 lakh rupees. This was so he paid 6% for X years on 2 lakh rupees, and he also paid 4% per annum on 2 lakh rupees for 10 minus X number of years, right? So if he has paid 6% interest rate for X years, then he would be paying 4% interest rate for 10 minus X years, because total period was 10 years. So if you solve this equation, you will find the value of X, which would be equal to 4. So our answer would be 4 years. So Mr. Kumar got the discount in the rate of interest after 4 years. Now let's try another method. We will use the options to identify which of them is correct. Now here first we know that total amount of interest which he paid was 96,000, right? 2.96 minus 2 lakhs, which is 96,000 rupees. Now let us say that he paid 6% simple interest for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years and 6 years. Then let's see what happens. So if he paid 6% interest on 2 lakh rupees for 3 years, then how much interest would he be paying in 1 year on 2 lakh rupees? 6% per annum simple interest is 12,000 rupees. So in 3 years he would be paying 36,000 rupees. In 4 years, how much he would be paying? 48,000 rupees. In 5 years, it would be 5 years into 12,000, because in 1 year he's paying 12,000. So in 5 years he would need to pay 60,000. In 6 years he would need to pay 72,000. So you can see that it's very easy to calculate 6% interest for these number of years. So we can easily write these numbers. Now, as the question says that after this period he is paying an interest rate of only 4%. So for remaining number of years he is paying an interest rate of 4%. Now total period was 10 years. So in option 1, 7 years are left. So he is paying an interest of 4% for 7 years. So an interest rate of 4% on 2 lakh in 1 year would result into 8,000 rupees. So in 7 years he will be paying 56,000 rupees, right? So 4% on 2 lakh in 1 year is 8,000. So for in 3 years, in 7 years, because 10 minus 3 is the remaining period. So in 7 years he would be paying 8,000 into 7, 56,000 rupees. So in option B, 6 years are left, because 4 years he has paid 6%. So remaining 6 years he would be paying 4%. So here for in 6 years he would be paying 6 into 8,000, which is 48,000 rupees. Now you can stop here, because now you can see that he has paid 48,000 rupees interest for first 4 years, and remaining 6 years he is again paying 48,000 rupees interest, which means total of 96,000 rupees interest he is paying. So you can easily take option B here, because this is giving you 96,000 rupees interest in 10 years at these interest rates. So our answer would be B 4 years, you don't have to go further. You can stop here and write the answer. So now if you want to use this options technique, then your calculation has to be really good so that you can do mentally these calculations. All these calculations need to be done mentally. You cannot use pen and paper to these calculations, otherwise it will take a lot of interest, lot of time. So if you're good at calculation, which you can be if you practice more, then you can solve these questions using the using options only. Now let's move on to the next question. A and B run a joint venture in which the profit earned by A and B are in the ratio 28:15. A invests his share at the start of the year and B joins in after 9 months of the same year. What is the ratio of their initial investment respectively? Now, in any joint venture, the ratio of the profit is always directly proportional to the investment done by the person and also how long he has invested. So, ratio of the profit is directly proportional to the number of months or number of years he has invested and how much was his initial investment. So now let's see how to solve this question. Now let's assume that they invest small a and small b amount respectively in the joint venture. Now A's money was invested for 12 months while B's money was invested for 3 months only, right? So A invested at the start of the year while B joins in after 9 months of the same year. So he is investing only for 3 months. Now, as we know that their profits will be in the ratio of 12 months into A divided by 3 months into B. So, how long has he invested and how much did he invest? So, its profit is directly proportional to how long and how much. So, ratio of the profits would be 12A divided by 3B, which is equal to 4A by B. Now it is also given that the ratio of their profits is 28:15. So this 28:15 is equal to 4A by B. If you solve this, you will get A by B is equal to 7:15. So the ratio of their initial investment is 7:15. So our answer would be A 7:15. Now this was a partnership question. Now let's move on to the next question, which is again a simple interest question. Some amount was lent at 10% per annum simple interest. After 1 year, 4,400 rupees is repaid and the rest of the amount is paid at 20% per annum. If the second year's interest is 11 by 7 of the first year's interest, find the amount of money that was lent out initially. Now, let's solve this question using options method, which is an easier method in this case because the numbers here are very straightforward: 12,000, 30,000, 14,000 and 15,000. These are the options. So let us say 12,000 was the amount which was lent out initially. Then at 10% in 1 year, the interest would be 1,200 rupees, right? So in 1 year, it would be straightway 1,200 into 10% would be 1,200 rupees. For option B, the interest after 1 year would be 1,300. In C, it would be 1,400. And here it would be 1,500. So it's simple 10% per annum simple interest on these amounts would be these numbers, right? So it's very easy to calculate 10% of any number. You just have to divide it by 10. Now it is given that after 1 year, 4,400 rupees is repaid. So after 1 year, this is the interest accumulated. So total amount becomes 12,000 plus 1,200 and you are paying 4,400, which means 12,000 plus 1,200 minus 4,400 is the amount which is left after 1 year, which needs to be paid. So we will calculate 12,000 plus 1,200 minus 4,400, which becomes 8,800. Now, once you have calculated this first number 8,800, then remaining numbers are easy to calculate, right? Why? Because if you see 13,000 plus 1,300 minus 4,400, how much would be the difference between this number and this number? So here the difference is 1,000 between these two numbers and here the difference is 100. So total difference between 12,000 plus 1,200 and 13,000 plus 1,300 is 1,100, right? And from both you are subtracting 4,400. So the total difference between this number and this number would be 1,100, which is the difference between these two. So you just add 1,100 and write here, which becomes 9,900. Similarly, here again the difference is 1,100, so you can write it 11,000. Just add 1100 here. Just add 1100 here, and you will get the next number, which is 12,100, because again the difference here is 1100. So you don't have to do all these calculations. 14,000 plus 1400 minus 4400. You can do that also, and you will get the same answer. But it is easier to get it in this manner. Now, it is given that rest of the amount is repaid at 20% per annum, which means 20% interest has to be paid on this amount. So if you have to calculate 20% of this, it is just divide this number by 5. And when you divide this by 5, you get 1760 rupees, right? Now you can divide these numbers also by 5, and you can get the answer. You can get the numbers here. But instead of doing that, let us again identify what is the difference here. The difference here is 1100 rupees. So if you calculate 20% of 1100 or 1100 divided by 5, it becomes 220. So you just add 220 here, and you get your number 1980 here. Similarly, difference here is 1100. So again, 20% of 1100 is 220. So just add 220 here, you get 2200. Again, add 220 here, you get 2420. Now this is your second year interest, and this is your first year interest. Now you have to find out which one is the correct option. So it is given that second year's interest is 11 by 7 of the first year's interest. Now which of these numbers is 11 by 7 of these numbers, right? So you can straight away find that if you just scan these numbers, you will find that these two numbers are in the ratio of 11 by 7, right? So this number is 11 by 7 of 1400. So our answer would be C, 14,000. So if your calculation is good, it's very easy to solve these kind of questions, and you have to just practice to improve upon your calculations. Now, next question is, 10,000 was invested by Ram in a fixed deposit at 10% per annum at compound interest. However, every year he has to pay 30% tax on the compounded interest. So he is paying 30% tax on the interest component. How much money does Ram get after 4 years? So let's start solving this question. Now, if you can identify that he is earning an interest of 10% and he is paying a tax of 30%. So how much is he effectively earning? So if you deduct 30% tax on 10% interest, it becomes 3% effective tax which he is paying. So effective interest rate which would remain is 10 minus 3, which is 7%, right? So 30% of 10% he is paying as tax, which means 3% he is paying as tax after out of 10%. So remaining is interest rate is 7%. So he is effectively earning only 7% per annum compounded interest through his investment. Now, once you have identified this, once you have ascertained this, then it is very easy to solve this question. Now, you have to just use the formula of compounded interest. Amount is principal amount, which is 10,000 into 1 plus rate of interest divided by 100 raised to power number of years, which is 4. If you solve this, you will find the value amount after 4 years is 13,108. So our answer would be C, 13,108. Now let's move on to the next question. Rohit invested rupees 50,000 partly at 10% and partly at 15%. His total income after a year was rupees 7,000. How much did he invest at the rate of 10%? Now this is very interesting question. This can be solved in two very easy methods. We will use two methods to solve this question. So we will showcase both the methods here. So first of all, we will use mixtures and allegations method. So if you have not studied mixtures and allegations, and I would request that there is another video on mixtures and allegations which was posted on the same channel. You can go through that video, your concepts will be very clear, and then you can try and attempt this question. Otherwise, you can just go through the solution which I am going to give now. That will also clarify your concepts. So now, how to use that concept? Now, it is given that he has earned an interest of 7,000 after 1 year. And 7,000 is nothing but 14% of 50,000, which was the original amount or the principal amount. Now here it is not given whether it is simple interest or compound interest, but does it matter? No, it doesn't matter because he's invested only for a year, right? So he's earning after 1 year the 7,000 rupees. So for in 1 year, it doesn't matter whether it is simple interest or compound interest, as if the interest rate is per annum, if the interest is compounding every year, then after 1 year simple interest and compound interest would be same. The amount which you will, the interest which you will earn through SI or CI would be same. So whether it was SI or CI, 7,000 you are earning, which is 14% of 50,000. So you are earning an interest, effective interest rate of 14% here, while you had invested some amount at 10%, some amount at 15%, and you are earning an final interest of 14%. So this becomes a mixtures and allegations problem. So that is the, this is the method we use to solve allegations problem. So here some amount is invested at 10%, some amount is invested at 15%, and you are getting an effective interest rate of 14%. So just find out the difference of these two numbers and you will get here 1, and here if you calculate the difference you will get 4. So the ratio here is 1 is to 4, right? So in allegations problem you just calculate the ratio. Now this is the ratio 1 is to 4 in which amount was invested at these rates. So total amount which was invested was 50,000 rupees. So 50,000 was invested in the ratio of 1 is to 4 at the rate of 10% and 15% respectively. So this becomes 10,000 and 40,000. So 10,000 plus 40,000 is 50,000, and this is 1 is to 4 ratio. So 10,000 rupees were invested at 10%, while 40,000 rupees were invested at 15% to get an effective interest rate of 14%, right? So our answer would be C, 10,000. This is the amount which was invested at the rate of 10%. Now there is another method which we will use to solve this question. Again, we will use the options to see how to solve this question. Now let us say this, these were the amounts which were invested at 10%, and rest of the 50,000 was invested at 15%, right? So let's just calculate how much is the 10% of these numbers. 10% calculation is very easy, so we will use this method. So if you had invested 30,000 at the rate of 10%, your interest after 1 year would be 3,000. If you had invested 40,000, the interest would be 4,000. For 10,000, it would be 1,000, and for 20,000, it would be 2,000 rupees. So after 1 year, if you had invested these amounts at 10%, then you would have got this kind of interest amount. Now remaining amount is invested at 15%, which means out of 50,000, 30,000 is invested at 10%, remaining is 20,000. So 20,000 is invested at 15%. So if you calculate 15% of 20,000, it is 3,000 rupees, right? So calculating 15% is also not a tough job of these numbers. So here remaining amount is 10,000. So total amount is 50. So 50 minus 40 is 10,000. So 15% of 10,000 would be 1,500 rupees. Here the remaining amount is 40,000. So 15% of remaining amount, which is 40,000, is 6,000 rupees. And here remaining amount is 30,000. So 15% of 30,000 is 4,500 rupees. Now it is given that his income after a year was 7,000 rupees, which means total interest which he has earned is 7,000 rupees. So in this option, 1,000 plus 6,000, 7,000. So this is the option where he is earning 7,000 rupees total income after 1 year. So our answer would be C, 10,000, right? So he is earning an interest of 7,000 total. So our answer would be C. Now let's move on to the next question, which is the last question of this video. A sum of money invested for a certain number of years at 8% per annum simple interest grows to rupees 180. The same sum of money invested for the same number of years at 4% per annum simple interest grows to rupees 120. For how many years was the sum invested? Now here in this question, it is not mentioned how much was the money invested and how many years it was invested for, right? So two variables are missing. Only interest rate is given and total amount is given, and there are two situations which have been given at different interest rates. So let's see how to solve this question. So we will just assume that, let's say the principal amount was X rupees and it was invested for n number of years, right? Now simple interest formula is principal into rate into number of years divided by 100. That gives you the simple interest, right? So for at 8% per annum simple interest, total amount would be original principal amount, which is x. So x plus interest rate, total interest. So how we will calculate the interest? So interest is principal amount into number of years into interest rate, or we have just changed the order here, that principal amount into number of years invested is n, and the interest rate is 8%. So 8 by 100 we have written 0.08. So x plus 0.08 nx is equal to 180, which is the amount which he's getting after n number of years. Similarly, if you use the same formula in this situation, in this scenario, then at 4% per annum as simple interest, total amount would be x plus 0.04 nx is equal to 120, because you are earning 120 rupees after n number of years. Now, if you subtract from equation number 1 to equation number 2, you get 0.04 nx is equal to 60, right? Or if you solve it further, you find nx is equal to 1500. So 60 by 0.04 becomes 1500. Now, if you put this number 0.04 nx is equal to 60 here in this equation, so instead of 0.04 nx, I write 60, then I will get the value of x. So x plus 60 is equal to 120, which gives me x is equal to 60. So now we know that amount which was invested was 60 rupees. Now for how many years it was invested? So you just put the value of x here. So you get the value of n. So here n is equal to 1500 by 60, which is 25 years. So our answer would be A, 25 years. So that's it for this particular video. So if you like this video, then I would request that you please subscribe to our channel, Concept Building Classes. Please share this video with others, your friends or people who are preparing for these competitive exams. Please like this video to show your support to us. Comment on it if you have any queries, and press the bell icon to know whenever next video is posted on the channel. Thank you and happy learning.